Greetings, and konnichiwa, and welcome to the Onyx Tavern. This is your host, the Birdkeep, bringing you podcast 44 here at the Tavern, presented by Hirotaku.com. Well, it turns out that my first video back is actually going to be a response about my series being terminated from YouTube. And basically, I was presented last night in the midst of trying to get my account back and working on a few other things, that PR Lost Galaxy 2014 basically did his own podcast regarding the termination of my channel, and basically YouTube's copyright things and stuff like that. And I really appreciated the video. I thought it was great, and I'm just glad that, somebody out there recognized that I was gone enough to go ahead and put a video. So, I want to thank PR Lost Galaxy 2014 for that. Wish I knew your real name, man, so I could go ahead and, congratulate you or thank you properly. Let me put it that way. But what I want to go ahead and talk about is not necessarily that aspect, because apparently from his video, he gets the idea that I do not like Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. So, as a way of saying kind of thank you to him and, again, continue to make new videos here for the Tavern, I want to go ahead and address this idea that I don't like Power Rangers Lost Galaxy and just kind of, state to the contrary. Because, you know what? I do like Power Rangers Lost Galaxy. I thought it was a decent show. I liked the plot. I liked the characters. But let me go ahead and specifically address the criticism he brings up about me not liking Power Rangers Lost Galaxy and kind of explain that. And then I'll tell you guys exactly what I do like about Lost Galaxy, and even the things that I don't. Now, he did go ahead and bring up the fact that in at least two of my top 10 or top 5, top 10 lists, I did have Power Rangers Lost Galaxy as being bad in some fashion or another. Now, while, again, the videos no longer exist, I can't, really bring up or cite any evidence. So I'm just going to have to go from what I remember I said. Now, I do recall that Raptor and I did a video on the top 5 best and worst Megazords, and we did go ahead and have the Galaxy Megazord at the top of our respected lists. Now, the only reason the Galaxy Megazord was on the list of worst Megazord was really just the design of it. I forget what Raptor's exact argument was, but my argument was that it looks like a bootleg, it looks like a knockoff, it's too blocky, it doesn't have like a lot of detail in it, it just doesn't look very sophisticated. Because if you look at the Megazord that came before it, which was the Astro Megazord, that looked really good, really detailed, great design on it. And the one that came after it, the Lightspeed Megazord, despite the fact I didn't like that one either, it wasn't the aesthetics that made me not like it. It was the practicality and functionality of the Lightspeed Megazord. But the Galaxy Megazord, despite, not liking the design, I don't totally hate the Megazord. It's just that I didn't like, again, how it looked. Again, it was just all blocky and everything. It was just kind of a weird design and everything. But yeah, I understand, how we can get from that I don't like Lost Galaxy, because also in another video, we did the best costumes and the worst costumes and all that. And I hate to throw Raptor under the bus here, but it was he that said that the Lost Galaxy suits, the Gingaman suits, are the worst designed in Power Rangers. And I agreed to him to an extent, basically. I like the helmets. The Charlie Brown pattern, yes, there is an issue with that and all that. And, of course, the balance of white and whatnot and stuff. But again, that was actually, Lost Galaxy did not even make my list of the top 5 worst. So I don't personally hate them, but I agree with Raptor and a lot of his points, and I understand his point of view on there. So I think it was these two examples here in which, he got the idea that I hated Lost Galaxy. Because, of course, I never said anything about their Rangers on the top 5 best or worst Red Rangers, or even, I think, the worst villains. I don't even think I brought those guys up in that regard. But, yeah, I like Lost Galaxy. I think it's really good. And I want to go ahead and bring up this point because it was asked of me about RPM in relation to Lost Galaxy. Now, as I have said a couple of times before, I absolutely hate RPM. I do think that it is the worst Power Ranger series. And one of the criticisms I have of it is that it takes a comedic Sentai, the footage basically, and puts it into this post-apocalyptic, nuclear holocaust nightmare setting. And one of the issues I have with that is they just don't mesh. You can't have these colorful, bright, wide-eyed, literal Zords and broad comedy, aspects compared to this post-Terminator Salvation-like setting, or the setting of the Matrix movies and all that. You can't have that. It just doesn't work. Now, when we take a look at Lost Galaxy, now Gigaman, which I have never seen an episode of Gigaman, so I wouldn't be able to properly, talk about it, other than the fact that I do know it's a nature-based series that does take place on Earth, and it is like the spirit of the forest. They ride the horses more often than they did in Lost Galaxy, and it has nothing to do with outer space and space travel or anything of that regard. But because Power Rangers in Space did so well, because it was a space-based series, they decided to put Lost Galaxy on a space colony. Now, at the time, you don't really notice the difference. There are a couple of continuity flubs here or there, as far as like Titanosaur moving between domes without shattering them and things like that. But for the most part, it really works. Again, not having seen the footage, but understanding it's a nature-based show, they really were able to get the space theme they wanted in there without really compromising too much of the Sentai footage. Were able to make their own story based on what they had and not have to tie it into the nature and the spirit of the Earth kind of thing. And of course, everybody's asked, well, how can you be okay with it with the Lost Galaxy and RPM? And of course, that's just a matter of preference and choice, and the fact that I think that Lost Galaxy did it better. Because it's really hard to go ahead and convert some footage from the Sentai to American, especially if you're changing the plot almost entirely. And I think Lost Galaxy did a great job of that, because they did provide us a good story. Whereas conversely with RPM, at least in my opinion, they did not provide us with a good enough story, so it doesn't justify all these changes that they made, because it just didn't work out in the end. But back to Lost Galaxy, yeah, I thought it was great. I really liked it. It had one of the best crossover episodes ever in Power to the 10th. I thought the villains were good. I liked the Rangers and the characters. The Magna Defender subplot was great. I guess I could do an entire analysis of the entire season, but, for what we got at the time, I thought it was really good. Because, leaving the Zordon era, this was, I think, a step in the right direction, and it worked out really well. I don't know what else to go ahead and say about it, because it's not really, again, I'm not doing a complete analysis of the season and everything, but I understand the problems with it, and I guess the thing is that the aesthetics is what the problem is for me in some cases. Those are the things that kind of detract me from it, specifically the costumes, the Zords. I mean, the Magna Defender, he looks awesome. That is the coolest quasi-ranger suit that I've ever seen. I like his weapon and all that. And actually, as a matter of fact, I do think that we did mention the Magna Defender's weapon and the Trans Daggers as some of our top favorite weapons. So there isn't all hate for Lost Galaxy. The villains were really good. I think Deviant is probably one of my favorite villains, at least in the top 10, because again, I did my top 5 and he wasn't in there, but he is definitely top 10 villains. He's got the coolest name. The Villamax stuff was really good, and of course, hey, they went back to the Onyx Tavern in that series. There's some mistakes along the way, some things that they could have done without and changed, like I understand the whole issue with Kendrick's actor. Basically, she got leukemia, had the lead series, and they brought Corone in. I know the story there was supposed to be Cassie in there, and I really kind of wish it was Cassie, but I like the redemption, because that show does talk a lot about redemption, particularly in the episode Redemption Day with the Magna Defender and with Corone's character, and living up to or going against the idea of Astronema. So, there were some good things about it. I really liked it. And a lot of the secondary characters were kind of interesting. I really did like Commander Stanton a lot because he did remind me of like a Star Trek character, that no nonsense commander with compassion and all that. I'm not going to go as far as to say he was like Captain Kirk or Picard or even Cisco, but he's somewhere in there, I guess. You would believe that he was a captain in Star Trek at some point. And I guess right now, if I had to go ahead and say, like, there's a character I did not like, it would probably be Maya. And it's for the same reasons Linkara pointed out, is because her personality is so bizarre. I know the girl who plays her, she's done a lot of comedy, and I've seen her do a horror film, and I really wasn't convinced of her acting, so I'm not going to go out and say that she's a good... I don't think she's that good of an actress. That's what I'll go ahead and say. And playing Maya, probably... I don't know, that was kind of like her first acting gig, and as far as I understand, she was actually recast at much later, that there was another girl that was supposed to play Maya, and then, this other girl, she went ahead, and I wish I remember her name off the top of my head, but she went ahead and got the job instead. And of course, I, know the issues behind the scenes with Danny Slavin, and of course, why he eventually walked out on the crossover for Lightspeed Rescue. So I want to go ahead and just say again that Lost Galaxy was a good series. If I had to rank all the series, 1 to 20, it would definitely be in the top 10 of my favorite Power Ranger seasons. It wouldn't be in the bottom. And you know what? With the 20th anniversary coming, I might just do that kind of a list. But yeah, I just wanted to, briefly touch up on this, and if PR Lost Galaxy 2014 would like to, say anything else or discuss this with me, I welcome it, because, you know what, the biggest thing I want to do is, not have these misconceptions about who I am and what I like floating out there. Now, there was a big deal with that, with the Bandai of America rant, and most of that seems to have been cleared up about this point, but this is something I just wanted to nip in the bud now that I'm back. And again, this video that he posted, and I'll have a link to it in my comment section, was posted last night, and I just want to clear up, like I did my my apology video and the return video, is that, hey, it wasn't what everybody assumed, and this is what really happened. And also, again, he went on to this thing about Lost Galaxy, and I wanted to point out to him that, no, I don't hate Lost Galaxy. I like Lost Galaxy. I think it's great. And, it was a lot of fun. I will also go as far as saying that Lost Galaxy's final, the last 3 episodes, Journeys In, are probably the 3 best episodes of the season. Not to mention one of the best Power Ranger finales ever. I really like that. There are some plot points in there that don't make a little bit of sense, but as a whole, the thing is great. I really love it. So yeah. Well, I want to thank you guys for listening to my innate ramblings, but that's what this whole show is about. Do you guys like Lost Galaxy? Do you not like Lost Galaxy? Tell me why. Please leave those in the comments section. Otherwise, I want to thank you guys for listening to me today. Have a good afternoon, and the tavern is now closed.